Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith TV. Here are the major stories making headlines beyond the continent. And we begin with South Korea, Southeast Asia, where the president of South Korea, that's President Yoon Suk Yeol, faces impeachment and resignation demands after his failed attempt to impose martial law. Now, the country woke up to turmoil Wednesday after President Yoon surprisingly imposed martial law, only to have 190 lawmakers vote against it, and then abruptly reverse the decision. Now, South Korea's main opposition Democratic Party condemned Yoon's initial martial law declaration as insurrectionary behavior, rising concerns about South Korea's democratic stability, given its history of authoritarian leaders until the 1980s. Now, opposition lawmakers have begun impeachment proceedings, while protests have stormed the streets, demanding the president's arrest. Now, South Korea's largest labor union, the Korean Confederation of Trade Unions, has vowed to go on an indefinite strike until President Yoon Suk Yeol resigns. Still in South Korea, thousands of protesters are calling for the resignation of South Korean president as they take part in a protest on the steps leading to the National Assembly in Seoul. Now, South Korea's opposition moved to impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol on December 4th after his extraordinary but short-lived imposition of martial law that brought thousands of protesters to the streets. Joining us now to discuss this is international affairs analyst Olabode Useni. Olabode, it's good to have you join us. Why are people saying that President Yoon made a bad decision with martial law? And could this cause problems for, South Korea? Like, how do you see this being smoothed out?
Thank you very much for having me. Number one, Yoon Suk is like one of the desperate politicians all over the world. He wants to hang on to power, and then as you know, democracy is one of the messiest systems. But then again, when you have a desperate politician, president like Yoon, who does not want to do what democracy prescribes, then you get what he had declared martial law, despite the fact that it's an unpopular thing to do. So the way it is, I think it's in the hot soup. I'll be surprised if he survived the impeachment proceedings. So it's everywhere is hot. He's going to, he's going to, at the time, it's going to be like he's going to be on his own.
And it's very interesting because residents, and that's the people of Korea, are calling for President Yoon to be removed from office. We've now seen large protests like the videos we showed earlier of people demonstrating on the steps of the National Assembly. And we've also seen the Korean, so I can get this wrong, I don't want to mess this up, it's the thousands of workers under a particular union are now saying that they're going on an indefinite strike. Do you see this affecting his time as president, and what would this mean for the future of South Korea's economy and politics?
President Yoon's time in office is numbered. Again, like I said, with that number of people calling for his removal or his resignation, and any which one he decides to choose, the problem is going to affect the economy. As you know, there's North Korea and South Korea. They were separated in I think early 80s or something like that. And South Korea is a very prosperous country, where the North Korea is literally not all that prosperous. Having said that, if he refuses to leave, he'll be impeached. And what I'm not too sure is whether the combination of the opposition members and one or two or three other smaller parties, but then as it is, some of members of his own party are saying that they will join the opposition to remove him. And obviously that's going to affect the economy of the country, not immediately, but gradually with all this kind of uncertainty, security issues and so on and so forth. It's not good for the growth of any economy in any country.
And I mean, the question on everyone's mind now is what happens if President Yoon is impeached?
Two things. Number one, we need to also get our viewers to understand that the impeachment might not be as straightforward as it is. The process and procedure need to be followed. If the majority of members of the single chamber in South Korea, find the majority to remove him, the removal impeachment document will go to the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court will now sit on it. Usually they have nine judges, but as I said, I think there's only 6 left now, but that will not going to be a big problem. As long as the majority of the 6 agree to the impeachment process, so he'll be removed. And then the Prime Minister will step in as a temporary president until after 60 days that another election will be held. And that will probably going to be his end. Like I said, he's a desperate politician. About 2 years ago, he was he led a revolt against his predecessor, who also was involved in kind of corruption and malpractices. And here we have a highly brilliant lawyer. He's a prosecutor. He has about 27 years of services in South Korea. I don't know why sometimes some politicians do not understand that that appointment or that application to serve the people cannot be permanent, and they should be free and devoid of anything, but they should be accountable. And he's not trying to be accountable, and that's the problem, because tongues are wagging about his wife and some of his ministers and so on and so forth. And this is a big problem for him now.
All right. Well, Olabode, I must say thank you so much for taking our time to discuss with us today. Olabode Oseni, international affairs analyst, just to speak to us on the recent debacle in South Korea. We move away from South Korea, Southeast Asia, now to Central Asia, as Asian neighbors, and that is Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, have announced a border demarcation deal on the last contested frontier in the region. Now, nearly 2 years after a fierce and brutal border clash that killed about 100 people in September 2022, Kyrgyz security chief, and that's Kamchipak Talish, met with his Tajik counterpart, and that's Saimomin Yatimov, in the Kaz city of Batken, in the south of the Tajik border, to announce the agreement.
Я могу все ответственно заявить о том, что сегодня завершен исторический момент согласования границы. Я с уверенностью заявляю, что вопрос делимитации государственной границы между двумя государствами, выполняя политическую волю наших лидеров, глав государств.
And on to the Philippines, where activists have lodged a new impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. At least 74 left-wing complainants, including human rights and labor leaders, asked the country's House of Representatives on Wednesday to unseat Duterte over the alleged misuse of government funds. Now, this request follows an impeachment motion filed earlier this week that focused on a recent public threat against the president. The incident has brought a power struggle between the pair's powerful political clans to light. Regarding the theft of 612.5 million pesos in alleged confidential funds, the motion on Wednesday accused the vice president of betraying public trust and urging for his permanent removal from office.
Filed the second impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte. And what makes this complaint different from the first complaint is that this is really focused on just one ground, which is the betrayal of the public trust. We believe that she has betrayed the public trust, which is an impeachable offense, and are calling on Congress to impeach her, basically to remove her from office and prohibit her from occupying any other position in the future. What we want, of course, is for Congress to expedite the resolution of this impeachment, and that 1/3 of them vote that this be brought directly to the Senate.
The Secretary General shall transmit to the office of the Speaker all the complaints filed. The filing of impeachment complaints underscores the seriousness.
You're watching headlines beyond the continent. Let's go on a short break. But when we return, we'll tell you that the U.S. United Health Care executive has been fatally shot in Manhattan. This and many more after the break. Join us again. Hey, welcome back. We'll continue in North America, where the CEO of United Healthcare has been fatally shot in Midtown Manhattan on Wednesday morning in an apparent targeted attack as he was about to attend the company's annual investor conference, according to police reports. Now, the New York Police Department said the 50-year-old executive was shot in front of the Hilton's address around 6:40 a.m. and was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital, but did not confirm the victim's identity. About 10 minutes before Thompson arrived, a shooter who, according to police, was wearing a mask in the bitter cold opened fire from a distance of about 20 feet, hitting Thompson many times. Very unfortunate news there. Move on now, but still in America, as the U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's defense secretary nominee says he still has the president-elect's support, despite news that his nomination might be in doubt due to misconduct claims. Now, Trump has selected Fox News host Pete Hegseth to lead the Pentagon, but there is speculation that he would fail a Senate vote. The Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, is allegedly being considered by Trump to replace his troubled current choice as his defense secretary. There has been criticism around his cabinet choices, and there have been rumors that some may be difficult to confirm. Now, in the past, his first choice for Attorney General, Matt Gaetz, had declared his intention to withdraw from process. Still on U.S. politics, Donald Trump has filed a motion to dismiss the hush money case in which he was convicted due to his victory in the U.S. presidential election. Now, in May, a New York jury found Mr. Trump guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records to commit election fraud. It was the first time a U.S. president has been convicted of or charged with a criminal offense. For News Central, Afia Hagen reports.
Defense lawyers for President-elect Donald Trump are using President Joe Biden's pardon of his son Hunter to argue that Trump's conviction in his Manhattan hush money case should be dismissed. Yesterday, in issuing a 10-year pardon to Hunter Biden that covers any and all crimes, whether charged or uncharged, President Biden asserted that his son was selectively and unfairly prosecuted and treated differently, Trump's lawyers wrote in a motion filed on Monday. Trump's lawyers, Todd Blanche and Emily Bove, whom he has picked for top Justice Department posts in his new administration, argued these comments amount to a condemnation of Biden's own Justice Department and that New York District Attorney Alvin Bragg has engaged in the same kind of political theater. In addition to the pardon argument, Trump's attorneys also told the judge that his case should be dismissed given his re-election last month. They wrote, President Trump's status as president-elect and the soon-to-be sitting president is a legal impediment to further criminal proceedings based on the presidential immunity doctrine established by the Supreme Court last summer and the Supremacy Clause. The Hunter Biden cases and Trump hush money case do have notable similarities, ones that have fueled attacks on the judicial protest. Both were brought to court in 2024, years after the incidents in question. But there are notable differences between the two cases, of course. Hunter Biden never held public office, and the New York hush money case was just one of multiple prosecutions of the former president, several of which dealt with much more serious and recent alleged crimes. Special counsel Jack Smith decided to end the two federal criminal cases he had brought against Trump last year, a decision Smith said was rooted in long-standing Justice Department policy, barring the department from criminally pursuing a sitting president. Last month, the New York District Attorney's Office acknowledged to the court in New York that Trump is not likely to be sentenced until after the end of the defendant's upcoming presidential term, but argued that Trump's felony conviction should stand. A source close to the District Attorney's Office said it is open to a 4-year pause of the case. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
And we head now to South America, where Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has enacted a law punishing support for international sanctions against a country with a maximum sentence of 30 years in prison, one day after it was approved by the National Assembly. The new law was approved on Thursday amid heightened tensions over Maduro's re-election for a third consecutive term, which will last from 2025 to 2031, which the opposition, led by former Deputy Maria Corina Machado, denounces as a fraud and claims the victory of candidate Eduardo González Urrutia. The law also stipulates that leaders who support them are banned from holding public office for 60 years and fines of between $100,000 and $1 million, and the accused may be tried in absentia.
Esta ley que ellos han aprobado allá en Estados Unidos, yo la denomino la ley basura, la ley de la infamia. Pretenden ponerle el nombre del libertador a una ley para declararle la guerra económica a Venezuela. Yo recibí esto que tengo aquí en la mano, de la mano del doctor Jorge Rodríguez. Esta es la ley orgánica Libertador Simón Bolívar para la defensa de la paz y la soberanía de Venezuela. Los diputados de la Asamblea Nacional entraron a debatir una ley para hacer justicia, una ley para defender a Venezuela y para vencer, como estamos venciendo, y venceremos todas las amenazas y todos los bloqueos.
And off to Europe, where France's government on Wednesday faced no-confidence votes that could spell the end of the administration of Prime Minister Michel Barnier, plunging the country into uncharted waters of political chaos. Now, President Emmanuel Macron would have the difficult tasks of selecting a suitable successor with more than 2 years remaining in his tenure if the Barnier government were to fall after only 3 months in power. Now, the National Assembly is due to debate 2 motions brought by the hard left and the far right in a standoff over next year's austerity budget, which saw the Premier on Monday force through a social security financing bill without a vote.
Demandé par le Rassemblement
Mais
national.
on n'est pas dans du marchandage, on n'est pas dans du chantage.
Il y a eu marchandage.
Il n'y a pas de marchandage. Il y a eu une écoute, du respect. J'ai pris ce texte que nous parlons de m'a pas baladé, mais elle a essayé d'entrer dans une sorte de surenchère en me disant c'est où la non-indexation des retraites, où c'est les médicaments. J'ai trouvé un accord avec mes équipes pour faire la mesure des médicaments. Et puis quand je lui dis ça, elle me dit ah ben les retraites aussi. Je ne veux pas rentrer dans le chantage, ce n'est pas mon état d'esprit.
C'était du chantage?
Non, je ne veux pas. Près de 18 millions de Français verront leur impôt sur le revenu augmenter, d'autres en payeront pour la première fois parce qu'on n'aura pas pu inscrire dans la loi de finances la réindexation qui est prévue, que j'ai prévue pour le barème des tranches d'impôt.
C'est inéluctable.
C'est inéluctable.
Following a surprise attack in which Islamist-led rebels took control of Aleppo, the Russian Foreign Ministry says Russia, Iran, and Turkey are in close contact regarding the Syrian conflict. Now, speaking at her weekly briefing, Maria Zakharova, the Foreign Ministry spokesperson, said the foreign ministers of the three guarantor countries, and that's Russia, Iran, and Turkey, are in close contact with each other. In contrast to Ankara, which has long backed certain anti-government groups, Moscow is a crucial ally of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and is aiding his efforts to use airstrikes to put an end to the rebellion. Now, Moscow is a key ally of the president. And now, while Ankara has historically supported some anti-government forces as well.
Министры иностранных дел тройки стран-гарантов России, Иран и Турции находятся в тесном контакте. Надеемся, что все государства, которые имеют влияние на ситуацию на земле, в Сирии, будут использовать его в интересах скорейшего восстановления безопасности и стабильности в этой стране. Мы подтверждаем нашу приверженность суверенитету, единству и территориальной целостности Сирии. Решительно поддерживаем усилия сирийских властей по противодействию террористическим группировкам, восстановлению конституционного порядка. Активно работаем с международными партнерами в целях обеспечения скорейшей стабилизации обстановки.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on Wednesday said it was too early and inappropriate to discuss whether Berlin would in future send troops to a possible peacekeeping force in Ukraine. He also stressed that given the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, sending troops or German soldiers to Ukraine was not an option. Now, Scholz was addressing speculation which had followed comments by Foreign Minister, and that is Annalena Baerbock, at a meeting with her NATO counterparts in Brussels on Tuesday. Germany has been Kiev's second biggest supplier of military aid since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of the country in February of 2022.
Die Bundesaußenministerin hat eine entsprechende Aussage gar nicht getätigt, sondern sie ist gefragt worden, was eigentlich denn sein würde in einer späteren Friedensphase. Und eigentlich hat sie nur versucht, weder Ja noch Nein zu sagen, wenn ich das mal sagen darf, weil das auch ganz unangemessen ist, jetzt darüber zu spekulieren, was später mal bei einem verhandelten Waffenstillstand und einer friedlichen Situation existiert. Ich nutze aber die Gelegenheit und durchaus im Einvernehmen mit der Bundesaußenministerin zu sagen, ich halte es für ausgeschlossen, dass wir in der gegenwärtigen Situation Truppen oder deutsche Soldaten in die
Those are all of the major stories beyond the continent. It's back home now to Africa. Now remember that you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422 or also on Star Times channel 274. You can find us on Avo TV, or better yet, stream us live on YouTube or any social media platforms. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith for TV. Bye for now.